Welcome to this demonstration of hospital version for WISE Option Equine Enterprise Management, the ultimate in equine management software. Today we're going to cover several things, the first being some of the features of the hospital version and also some of the features for the standard or training version, things to look for when buying a software program and some of the things that makes WISE Option different. And also at the end, we're going to cover some final steps to help you complete your purchase and give you some direction if you have any additional questions at the end of this demonstration. I've put together a list here of some of the standard features that you can find in all of the versions of WISE Option, as well as a list of some of the features unique to WISE Option in the hospital version. Now, both of these lists can be found at the address I've listed at the bottom right-hand corner of this page. Feel free to look through this if you haven't already when the demonstration's over. But for today, instead of all of these features, we're going to touch on some of the highlighted ones. We're going to look from the standard feature or the training version, the customer and horse management, and also how to do your record keeping and billing in just one step through your easy procedure entry. The rest of these standard features are discussed in great detail in the training version. The reason we don't go into them in the hospital version is because several of these things can be done in both places. So to eliminate any confusion, we're just going to talk about the customer and horse management as well as your record keeping and some of the procedure entry for the training version. The rest of it, like I said, please, if you have any additional questions at the end of this, go to the training demonstration. For the features unique to the hospital version, we're going to cover the patient files, the in-depth hospital record, the summary card, the progress notes, how you can select the nutrition, location, and status of the patient, the detailed treatment list, also how to handle multiple doctors, professional discharge notes, and also invoicing. So for this, let's go to WISE Option. So this is WISE Option, the main screen, and you can see a list of the buttons at the top. This button right here indicates the hospital module and will take you into that hospital section. The Stallion Management and Mare Management buttons come with the reproduction section, and the remainder of these buttons come with the training version and are included in all of the versions. Now, I am running here the Hospital Plus reproduction version. If you were to purchase just the hospital version, it would not have these two buttons. So there's the difference in those two. So for this, we're going to go ahead and go to the horse file, and I have a list of all of my active horses in the list. If I wanted to choose my inactive, I could click here and choose my inactive. It would populate with those horses as well, and then I can toggle back to my active horses. For this example, we'll go ahead and look at a horse Great Stop, and I can see that as soon as I click on her, all of this information on the top right will populate. I have her name, registration number, and important other information, as well as her owner and a shortcut to her owner. So I can go ahead and click the shortcut right here, and it takes me to Deanna Roberts' page. It has her current account balance, her account information, as well as any phone numbers and addresses I might have on her. I have also a place to insert customer notes, do any form letters, and update her information. And if I were to click on her horse list, I at an instant have a list of all the horses owned by her in our computer program. This also includes any ones that she's a joint owner on with other owners, that she might own only 50% of or 20% of. Now, this is super handy and makes you much more efficient when you have a program that will offer you this kind of a setup, because generally when owners call, they want to talk about not just the one horse that you're taking care of, but all of them. And they may call and ask to talk to you about Great Stop, but while you're on the phone, let me talk about Wildcat. So you can see that that has a big impact. When I click on Great Stop's name, all of these buttons along the bottom will light up, indicating I can go to any section of WISE Option that I want. Notice here the mare records. Again, that will only come with your mare management, which comes with your reproduction version, but all of the rest are standard. I can go to the horse file and have a list of all of her important information, such as her name. If I wanted to change and have this be her nickname, I could certainly do that, or maybe what the owner refers to her by. I have a place for a neckband, which can be alphanumeric, her date of birth, color, owner, status, association, location, etc. on this page. Also a place for a microchip number. One of the things the WISE Option offers that some of the other programs don't is this board farm agent or manager. Maybe Deanna is not the person that you talk to on a regular basis about the care of her horse. She is maybe elected a third party to discuss things with you. You could certainly put that third party in here and know at any time who you need to call. So I'm going to go ahead and close Great Stop's page. I'm going to close the customer page. And I have returned to Great Stop, and you can see I also have a list of all of these buttons here as well. One of the nice ones that I like for the hospital module is the insurance button. At any time, I can enter in the insurance information so that if I need to contact an agent on an upcoming case or a past case, I can certainly do that here, as well as any of the information the owner wants to give me. I have, again, all of these buttons here that I can choose from. If I wanted to update Great Stop's information, again, the horse file is where I do that. We looked at that just 1 second ago, but I can simply change what I want and save it. We'll go ahead and close this and close the horse management. One thing before we close the horse management that I just want to touch on that is a part of the hospital module is I can, for any one of these horses, look at the patient's record at a glance. I can also take a horse that maybe is not in the hospital module and add them as a patient. You'll see more about that as soon as we get to the hospital module. So let's go ahead and do that now. I'm going to close out of the horse management screen. And as a brief note, you have other buttons here that, like I said, are included in the training version, along with the boarding and the billing module. But like I said in the very beginning, some of these things can be reproduced in the hospital module. So let's look at the features in that side. So we'll go ahead and click on the hospital button. Brings up a whole new page. And this page is all of the information that you need for the hospital records. It doesn't look like very much, but I promise it does everything that you need to without all the clutter and the inconvenience of having things that you don't use. So I'm going to go ahead and look at the patient file, and this is going to bring up a list of my hospitalized patients only. Now, if I wanted to see all the patients, I could certainly click all the patients and see them all here. This feature will keep these patients separated from your training or your reproduction patients. This is only for your hospital patients. It makes it nice that you don't have to wade through all of the horses in your system just to get to your patients. So let's look at our hospital patients for a moment. If I wanted to add a new patient, I could either use the button that we looked at just a minute ago on the reproduction side that said add the patient to the hospital side, and I could also choose add. If I choose Add here, I can simply enter in the information that you see, along with her owner, the location, microchip, the ranch where she came from, any comments. And here I can also choose a different species. It doesn't have to be a horse. Now, we say that Wise Option is an equine management program. However, if you treat the occasional cat or dog, maybe somebody's pig, you can certainly put that in there. So I would simply enter this information and save it. We're going to go ahead and close this for right now, and let's open up a new hospital record. So I'm going to go to All Patients, and let's get Great Stop since we looked at her just a moment ago. I do have the ability to look at anybody's history that has been maybe had a hospital record and then we've discharged. I can look at it here. Great Stop happens not to have any, so we'll do that on another example. So we'll go ahead and create a new hospital record for her. Has my HR date already in there. I can do my reason for examination. Perhaps she has a colic. And the diagnosis, again, can be whatever you want. For ease, I'm just going to write colic again. And the examining veterinarian is going to be Dr. Jones. Now, if Dr. Jones wasn't in the list or you wanted to add somebody else, you can simply go to Shortcut. And then you can see a list of all of these things that you can add to, change, or remove certain categories in each one of these lists. It applies to anything with a down arrow next to it, which would be a list box. So I can go ahead and put in my examining veterinarian, also my referred veterinarian. So if it's somebody that we only get a case from every now and again, they can certainly be in there, or I can have my same veterinarian. Again, my comments for ease, I'm just going to write colic, but you can add any customer notes, any client notes that you might want, as well as any patient notes, maybe some history or some symptoms in here. You'll also have the ability to choose either an outpatient exam or a hospitalization. For my outpatient exam, maybe you would use those as like your annual vaccinations where you were just going to do an exam, maybe a dental and your vaccinations, and they were going to leave that day. Maybe they had a foot abscess that they just needed you to pare out, and then you were going to send them home. For this example, let's go ahead and hospitalize her. I have the ability not to charge for the first day. If you'll notice, it's already 4:49 in the afternoon when this patient arrived, so maybe we don't want to charge them for the first day. I can click Do Not Charge for the first day, and that won't happen. I'm going to choose my hospitalization rate. Again, by using the shortcuts up on the top left of this screen, I can manipulate any of this information. We're going to go ahead and put her in ICU 3. I have my hospitalization status. We're going to do ICU again. These things are going to look like what you want your facility's computer program to look like, not your neighbor's. The location, go ahead and put her in the hospital. And the nutrition, since she doesn't feel good, let's pull her off of Oliver Feed. So I'm going to go ahead and once this is in here, click Save. Now, one of the things with Wise Option that you don't find in a lot of other places is we don't allow you to change the contents of the progress notes after you've entered them. The reason with that is because you take on a huge amount of liability whenever you care for somebody's patient. So because of that, we want to make sure and document everything very well. So it's going to make me confirm that I do want to save it and actually double confirm it because, again, I cannot change the notes once they're saved. There are some things that you can edit back in the discharge and in the invoicing section, but as far as documenting things, we want that to remain constant. So we'll go ahead and say yes. Hospital record has been added. And now it's going to go to the patient summary card. This is another unique feature of Wise Option. So with this patient summary card, I have the patient's name as well as the client, the hospital record date, which as we go out into time, this is going to have an actual number of days they've been in the clinic. The hospital rate since date is going to be the date since they were on this particular rate right here. If I change this rate, it's going to start this clock over for you. The reason for examination and all of the information that I put in when I open the hospital record, as well as her location, feed, etc. Now, if I go into her location and let's change her to the Mare Motel 1, I can change her right there. Location's been changed, and it's also going to add a progress note. This is what I mean by having the liability, and we want to make sure that you're covered. So if you double-click on this progress note, you're going to bring up this specific progress note that says exactly what happened. The summary or short for this is the location was changed. It has the examining professional, the date and time, and who added it. So I'm going to go ahead and close. Since my Save button is grayed out, you can't change it. We'll go ahead and close. And I'm going to go up here to List of Events or Procedures. So we're going to go ahead and click Add. And since she has a colic, perhaps let's give her a shot of Banamine. So I'm going to type in my Banamine task, and the tasks are covered in the training version demonstration. That's one of those things that we go into better detail about. Can do my prescribed by doctor. Maybe Dr. Jones prescribed it. Perhaps it was performed by a technician, so I can go ahead and put in my technician's name. Again, we want you to be sure and document everything. I can add any comments that I want. It's going to suggest my price based on the way that I've set the task for Banamine up. If I wanted to edit it, all I need to do is add in my correct unit price and save. So once I'm happy with all that, I can save this. The procedure has been added, and you see it right here in this list of events and procedures. So you can continue to do that one by one, or say I want to set this horse up to receive Banamine twice a day or have a colic exam 4 times a day. I can certainly do that by adding a treatment. This is similar to the doctor's orders. So I'm going to add the treatment. And if you don't have a computer program that has a form like this, you are really missing out. This form makes you so much more efficient and profitable. The efficiency comes in that you can actually set up this treatment and not have to go into each horse's area to look at their form hanging on their stall, to see their chart, to see everything so that you can decide as a doctor what you want to prescribe for that horse in the future or get an update on the horse or anything like that. You can do this on multiple horses right from your desk or right from your computer. The way this is profitable is sometimes things happen and nobody writes them down. So you set up your treatment, and then the technician or whomever performs that task or that treatment will document it. And again, this is part of that one-step record keeping and billing. We'll go into that in just a moment. So let's go ahead and do the prescription. So it was provided by Dr. Jones, and let's for this do an exam. We'll do the colic exam. I can put in my quantity, and again, if we're doing something maybe like Banamine, I can change my quantity to 10 if I want to bill by per cc or by mil. So I can change this if I want to, but we're going to leave it for once it's an exam. And I can do 1 time of day if I want to, and I have the ability to do it every day, every other day, or however many days I want. I also have the ability to set the hour at which I want it performed. For this example, let's go ahead and do 4 times a day. So the multiple treatments for specific hours, I want to set up, let's do them every 6 hours at 12 in the morning, 6 in the morning, noon, and then 6 in the evening. So there's my 4 times a day, equally spaced. Now, we have you set the hours yourself because maybe this is something that just needs to happen 4 times a day, not 4 times equally spaced during the day. I have the ability to set it up at 7 and noon and 3 and 6 if I want. So that is one of those things where you have a lot of freedom in setting up your treatment specific to that patient. So because, again, like I said, it's 4:55 today, I've missed all 3 of these. So let's go in and say that we want this to happen at 5 o'clock. And let's look at them again at 7, again at 10, and then we'll let the next one happen at noon. The treatment is planned to start tomorrow. That's why we entered the treatment plan in today right over here. We have an ending period. Now let's say this is a bandage change that you want to schedule every other day. We can certainly put 10 days in here and it will happen 5 times. And then after that 10th day, it won't show up on the treatment list anymore. I'm going to leave this for 0, and that means there's no predetermined duration. That means that it will continue until I stop or interrupt this treatment. So I'm going to go ahead and save it like this. I could certainly add in a comment here to notify Dr. Jones if, and you fill in the blank, or if it's a bandage, I can tell him exactly what materials I want used. We have the ability to do any of that. I can also add an event such as the colleague's exam. There are none scheduled for today already. There are also no reminders for the colleague exam scheduled. This prevents a lot of double treatments. If you are doing maybe a treatment for Banamine, remember we already entered one today, so that would show up right here. So you would make sure that horse doesn't get a double dose. So I'm satisfied with this treatment setup. I can go ahead and save it. It went through the list and added the 3 reminders for today. It's also added the treatment to this patient, Great Stop, who we're working on. And I can add another treatment at this point and just continue on until I've satisfied with her treatment setups. I'm going to go ahead and say no, that we're finished with this patient. And it returns to the patient summary card, and now you can see my list of treatments includes my colic exam. I have it at 4 times a day, prescribed by Dr. Jones, starting tomorrow, every day, and I have the hours at which I'd like it to happen. Now, again, if I picked a duration, that would be here as well. So for this, I'm going to go ahead and close, and let's go to that treatment list that gets generated by our list of treatments in the treatment setup. I'm going to go ahead and close this hospital record and close the patient file, and our treatment list is right here on the main hospital records section. As soon as I click it, it's going to generate all of my treatments for today. And you can see the colic exams from Great Stop that I added right here. We also have another hospitalized patient that has a colic exam scheduled, as well as one horse that needs his blood drawn. So what I can do is go in, and let's say I'm going to do the 5 o'clock treatment, but also the 7 and 8. So I can go in here and set them as pending. I'm getting ready to do them. I'm going to go ahead and click the 3 of these, and I'm going to go down to the bottom and select them to be set as pending. Now what pending means is I can set them to myself and let everybody else in the clinic know that I am getting ready to go do this. Either I'm getting ready to go walk and examine the horse, or I'm going to give the horse an injection, anything like that. So maybe if I'm walking back from the horse's stall on the east side of the barn and somebody else is walking on the west side of the barn, we might miss that, and that horse might get double the medication, or I could even waste my time by performing 2 exams, drawing 2 bloods, etc. So we want to set it as pending. I'm going to go ahead and submit it. Set all of the treatments as pending. Say yes. Yes, I'm certain. 3 treatments were set as pending. And I can refresh this list, and now you see my name over here. Now, say I was a different tech and I wanted to come up and see a list of available treatments. I can certainly do that, and the 3 that I've set to myself disappear. They're no longer available. They're actually pending. If I'm the one that comes back and I want to see a list of everything that that I set for myself, maybe to make sure I got my list complete, or maybe I've done it already, I can set my view to be pending treatments and my name. So what I can do in here is go through and click the ones I did, or maybe I want to use this check all box. I can certainly do that. And now down here I have the ability to choose what I want to do with this treatment. If I want to skip the selected treatment, it's going to make sure that I tell it who instructed me to skip that treatment. Maybe it's a doctor, maybe it's somebody else, but I can certainly do that. I'm going to go ahead and set the selected treatments as performed. Now when I do that, I have a couple of choices. I can set them as the specific hour that happened, or I can set the treatments performed at a different time. If I select this different time, it's going to ask me which hour to do it. I'm going to go ahead and set the treatments performed as scheduled. So here I select who they're performed by. Now this can be me, this can be another veterinarian, it can be whomever. But I'm going to go ahead and set it for Dr. Jones, saying that he was the one that did it. But as soon as I click submit, it's going to know that I'm the one logged in currently, and it's going to record that I set those treatments as performed. Now, even though they're performed by Dr. Jones, I'm the one that entered it in the computer. Again, with the liability. That's the reason for the switch user button. If, say, I'm getting ready to walk up here, but I'm not logged in, I can do the switch user real quick, change it to my name so that when I click submit, it's actually saying that I did it. So I'm going to go ahead and submit. And I'm going to submit that they're all going to be done as planned. Say yes, and yes, I'm certain. 3 treatments that is performed. And now I have a new treatment list. We'll go ahead and say all the available treatments. And so I see all of them. So each time somebody just needs to come up, log in by doing the switch user, select the treatment, and then whatever they want to do with that treatment. This treatment list is something that you won't find anywhere else. This is such a time saver, such a money saver. You really need to look for this whenever you're looking for software programs. If it doesn't have it, it is a far cry from being the best. We'll go ahead and close this. The events procedure is similar to what I showed you before in adding the event. This one, however, you can add for any of your hospitalized patients. If we do it from the patient summary card, it's going to be just that patient. So let's go ahead and discharge a horse or a patient so we can see the invoice. So I'm going to go to my patient file. And let's take Sparkling Hot here. We're going to go to her summary card. And up here in the top right-hand corner, you'll see Discharge. So we'll go ahead and click that button. And this is our discharge form. So what I'm going to do, it's going to automatically have my date in here. I'm going to pick my veterinarian that's discharging it. Let's use Dr. Stone for this example. I'm going to put in my diagnosis, and again, she had colic symptoms, so we're going to put that. Now, the diagnosis is something you simply type in. You do that by clicking this new diagnosis button. You generate this list for your own clinic. So we're going to do colic, and it's going to add it here. Now, I also have the ability to do several of them. So I could also do an annual exam while she's here. I can remove some from the list. I can clear the list, but that list is sufficient for me. I also have the ability here to type in any notes that I want. I can go to Feeding tab and show any feeding instructions that I want. We're going to opt not to show feeding instructions on this one. Again, I can do the exercise, bandage, and I can also dispense medication from here. So let's say for her, I'm going to send the owner home with a shot of Anamine. I have that. Again, it's going to suggest my unit price, and I can send her home with 3 maybe. I can add any comments I want. And then I'm going to go ahead and say add, and it's going to add it to the medication that I'm supplying that client. I can also check here and remove it. I can clear it from the list and add another one. So you have a lot of freedom here in determining what you dispense. I can have any return instructions. Maybe she needs to come back and see me in a week. And then finish is the last tab. This might be a place to do her medication instructions or her feeding instructions or anything else that you might not want to put on one of these tabs, but put as just the end, maybe her care that she needs to receive or some specialized instructions. So I'm going to go ahead and say finish. I do want to discharge this patient. Say yes. The patient has been discharged but not billed yet. So I can say okay. I can go ahead and print the discharge instructions at this time if I want to, but since you guys can't see what happens on my printer, we'll go ahead and say no. And so now she's been discharged, and you can see she's no longer in the list of my hospitalized patients. But if I go to all patients, Sparkling Hot, I can certainly look at her history. If I click on here, I can do a summary card review, and the only thing I can do to this is add any notes. This is really handy if maybe you want to add the results from a lab, or if you have somebody call and check on the patient status and you want to add an update about that patient, you can certainly do it here. Go ahead and close this. I can reprint the discharge instructions if she had a problem or a question. I'm going to go ahead and close this, and we'll close this, and let's go to the invoicing feature. Notice we have 2 horses that have not been billed but have been discharged. So this one signifies that she's an outpatient. We can go ahead and double-click on that record, and you can see your invoice for this hospital record. It has administered, dispensed, administration fees, board, and invoice. Right down here, it will give you kind of a summary of everything. If I look at the administered, it's going to be $126 worth of medication. So I see that my total is here. Again, any of these can be edited at this point. I can give her a deal on this. Maybe I told her it was going to be $30 instead. Can save that. This is also the place that if you wanted to add an event that maybe your task was a discount or anything like that, you could certainly reduce the price of their invoice at this time. You can look at any of the dispense medication you might have, any administration fees, and the nice thing about the administration fees is based on your task, you can tell it whether or not you want to choose an administration fee. So if you walk into a horse's stall to give it 5 medicines or 5 injections, it's only going to charge it once. If you walk into a horse's stall 5 times a day, however, you want 5 administration fees charged. You have the ability to use this feature or not, but for those clinics that do charge administration fees, that's certainly here for your use. Also, the board is calculated on a daily rate as you go. This horse happens to not have any board because it was an outpatient. And I can look at my invoice here. I can do a preview if I want. I can show my discharge instructions on my invoice. I can show the progress notes if I want to. And I have a cross-tab of tasks and categories. I can print out a pre-billing review, and I can also invoice the patient. So let's go ahead and invoice the patient. The invoice total is $118. We can go ahead and confirm. It was $126, but remember we reduced that price on the one procedure. So I can go ahead and say yes. The date that I want it placed in the owner's account, I can say that's fine for this one. It's been invoiced, and now I can print the invoice if I want to. We're going to go ahead and say no on this. So for this horse, let's do one more. We can go ahead and double-click on it. And again, I have all of this information here. Go right across the board. We're going to skip right to invoice. And let's go ahead and do invoice again. Yes, I confirm that total. The date is fine. Hospital record invoice complete. And let's go ahead and print this one, and I'll print it to screen so that you can see it. It is printing at this point. So this is a copy of that horse's invoice. Now, you'll notice that we didn't put too much information on here to save time for this demonstration, but any of the feeding instructions you have would be right below here, your exercise, bandage, and return, as well as your additional. But up at the top, it does have its own record number, has the patient and the customer as well as the species and breed, the start date of the hospital record as well as the discharge and the total number of days that the horse or patient was hospitalized. I can go to the next page, and it's going to show right here a list of all the progress notes. Now this may be something on these progress notes that you don't want to show public to the client. Maybe it's something that you just want in your records. You can certainly uncheck that box where it said progress notes. So I have all of these. Again, if you notice when we skipped that band mean, it does write a progress note. Again, your liability is everything to us. And then it has your daily charges or events. It has each one of the procedures and what was charged. Go to your next page. And it gives the total of all of that. This is the crosstabs by task. You have your administered and your dispensed in each one of the tasks. And you also have one for your administered and dispensed for each one of the categories. So that's a copy of your invoice. I'm going to go ahead and close this. And we're back to our invoicing. So that is pretty much the extent of the hospital record section. I'm going to go ahead and exit out, and it returns right back to the main screen. So for this, want to make sure that you know that there are 2 versions that include the hospital version. You have the regular hospital version, which includes the training version, our standard version, and you also have the hospital version plus reproduction, which is the one we were demoing today. I didn't go into the reproduction features of that. If this is one you're interested in, please go to the reproduction module, the reproduction section, and watch the demonstration on the reproduction version. Now, we just released this version April 1st of 2007, and because of that, we want your input. We are going to offer this hospital module free until the end of 2007. The way that you take advantage of that is if you purchase either the unlimited horse version of the training or the unlimited horse version of the reproduction, you can get the whole thing at no additional charge. So if you wanted the hospital version unlimited horses, we're only going to charge you for that training version. If you wanted the hospital plus reproduction unlimited horses, we're only going to charge you the cost of the reproduction version. This only applies to the ASP or the monthly lease period. It doesn't apply to any of the license purchases, so be sure and see the pricing request or the ready to buy for any additional details. Now, if you're ready to purchase, we want you to go ahead and when you close this demonstration, look for the Ready to Buy link on the Wise Option website. It will guide you through the entire purchase process. If you still have some questions and you want some more information, go ahead and continue to browse through the Wise Option website. Look for our webinar page that will inform you of upcoming live interactive webinars. Our webinars are set up such that you can ask questions. It's a live demonstration versus a recorded demonstration like we're doing today. It's very interactive. We want you to be a part. If you want the presenter to show you something again, or maybe you have a specific question about what happens at your facility, it's a great forum for you to learn more about Wise Option. Please feel free to email us at sales@wiseoption.com, and one of our sales representatives will get back with you and try and help you answer any questions you might have. You can also call us at 888-345-WISE, which is 9473. So we want you to feel free to use any of these options to find out some more information. But make sure that you don't procrastinate. Each day that goes by, you're not as efficient and you're not as profitable as you could be. And that is our goal, is to make you the most efficient, profitable company you can. So I want to thank you for joining us for this demonstration today. And go ahead and look at that Ready to Buy section. Go ahead and complete your invoice. As soon as we get a copy of that, we'll set up an installation appointment with you and get you running on Wise Option right away. Thanks again for joining us, and we look forward to serving you as Wise Option users.